Hi, my name is Gary Gall. I'm an extension specialist and also an associate professor with Ohio State University. And today I'm here to talk about some of our premium wine grape varieties. And there's a very strong trend for growing premium wine grapes. When we talk about premium wine grapes, you may have heard of varieties such as Cabernet Sauvignon, Cab Franc, Merlot, and all those varieties. And some of the ones I mentioned, those are red wine grapes. There are also a few white wine grapes that you may have heard of. One is a Riesling, Chardonnay. Because those varieties are quite tender, it's very important to protect them. And so what we have here is we have put some wood chips around the graft union, so that's going to protect the graft union. So if the winter is really cold, and then at least that portion is going to stay alive. And some growers have used soil. What they do is they bury the graft union with a foot and a half of soil, and that will work even better. So in our case, we have a small vineyard of, here we have Cab Franc and also Regent. So as you can tell, we have a very different training system as you would see with hybrids. And this particular training system, it's called the vertical shoot positioning, and this is what they have in European countries, many European countries, when they grow what's called the vinifera grapes, the more tender grapes. And in Ohio, the training system is called VSP. It's short for vertical shoot positioning system. So what you have is you have two trunks and one on each side. And so what's going to happen is when you train them, and then the trunks will come up and it will come to the top wire, and then you will train them on both sides. You have one cord on each side. So this is called the vertical shoot positioning system, or VSP. So what I'll do is the pruning techniques are actually pretty easy. So as you can tell, we have wires, and that will guide the canes during the growing season. We have wires here, and also wires on top. And then what's gonna happen is if you were to leave a two bud spur. So I come here, I go like, okay, how many buds do we have? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, quite a few. So if you were to leave a two bud spur, very likely that spur will actually produce fruits. So I'm going to examine the buds, 1, 2, and I'll just come here and do like this. Okay. So far so good. And if you can count up to 2, we're in business. Okay. So instead of kind of counting everything, I would just cut everything to 2 buds. Okay, if you leave 3, it's okay too. You can always come back to remove more. Okay, so far it's really relatively easy. Well, one thing I would like to point out is when you do pruning, if you don't wear glasses, it's always a good idea to wear some kind of eye protection. I I don't know whether I'm fortunate or unfortunate. I wear glasses anyways, and so I don't have to remind myself. So as you can tell, I'm just cutting everything to 2. And here, what I see is this is a very strong cane, and what's going to happen is I'm going to actually use this as more of an extension of my cordon. So I'm going to cut it off because it's already at the end of the row. So I think I left a little bit too much there, so I'm going to cut a little bit more. So just kind of bend this down. Okay, so far it's relatively easy. You come here, you go like, okay, we have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, maybe a little bit too many. So I might say, okay, let's just cut this off. 1, 2. Unfortunately, there's not much in between. We don't really have control over that, but you do have a little renewal spur. So hopefully something will happen between here and there. Okay, and then here I have to make a decision. So I'm gonna, so let's see. So this is a 1-year-old growth on another cane. So these two guys, either way, they're not the best options. But I'm going to decide between these two. This one is closer to the trunk, so I'm going to cut the other one off. Okay. So these two, it's probably not ideal, but I'm going to cut this guy back. Okay. So this guy will produce fruits, and this guy will be my renewal spur. Okay. So I have 1, 2. Okay, when you look at this pruning job here, typically what I would like to shoot for is, well, without getting too academic, what I do is I kind of typically use my fist, and it's not the most scientific way. So ideally, you should have one of these fruiting spurs every 6 inches or so. So I'm looking at this and I go like, okay, you have one here. It's not quite 6 inches, but to me it's close enough. Here you have about 6 inches, So this one is too close, but I don't really have a choice. So what's going to happen is these guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, they are going to grow long shoots. 2 or 3 shoots, and then we just guide them through our wire, and then when they get to the top, we would cut them off during the growing season. So when you have these shoots going through the wires, and then we will have shoots coming out, and then you have fruit clusters actually pretty close to the cordon. So I'm going to try to finish pruning this one vine. So this is a very weak. Okay, that looks about dead. That's half dead. So I'm going to finish pruning this, and so without really that much thinking, so maybe 2 or 3. So that's 3. So I cut another one off. This one kind of weak, so I'm going to cut to 2. 1, 2, maybe 3. You can always when you leave 3, you can always cut it back to 2. So this looks good. 1, 2. Okay, so here we have 1, 2. I see 2 really healthy ones. I'm not 100% sure that one is still alive. So I left 3. And this one is kind of a little bit weird, and I wonder whether that's that's dead. Well, that's still alive, so far so good. So I'm going to cut everything back. Here I have two fruiting spurs and I have a decision to make. So this one is okay. This one might be okay too. And this one might be stronger. So what I'll do is, plus this one is closer to the cordon. So I'm going to keep this guy. Since I kind of made the decision here, so I'm going to remove one of those. See what I did here is I have these. This one is not ideal. Eventually, I'm going to remove it. What I do see is there's a potential for another bud in that vicinity. So if it does break, and then this one will produce fruits for me this year, and this one will produce a shoot for me for next season. It's just going to grow into a shoot. So when you look at this vine, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So every 6 inches, and sometimes you have it, and sometimes you do not. So these two might be a little bit too close, but I don't really have a choice. So if you want to cut it off, then that's okay too. So when you look at this vine here, I removed quite a bit, but this is what you need to do to properly prune a grapevine that's trained to this VSP, vertical shoot positioning system.